Hello and welcome, fishes of the world, wherever you are, whatever projects you're working on. Welcome today, and hopefully this helps you in some way. It's been a while since I made some Blender videos. I know I got to get back into it. I like to be helping people. I like to think that some people out there see what I'm doing and they love it and they want to see more. So just my ideas, the way I make stuff, it's definitely different than everybody else. So hopefully that's the case and you guys are ready to see some tables today. So let's get started. Let's start with making some lags, and then we'll make some different types of tables. We'll try to make a bunch real quick, and then depending on what your project is or whatever you're up to, it should help you hopefully in whatever way. Table's pretty easy, obviously, for the obvious reasons. The trick that I'm finding about most Blender things is trying to add the details that you want. So what I've done, if you're completely new to the Blender, I've highlighted the item. I've changed global to local up here after having the item highlighted, keeping the item highlighted. I've changed the scale of this, and I've changed the scale of this to 0.1 to both. And the reason behind changing the scales on them is just makes it a little bit easier if you're using Unreal to import. At least that's what I'm told by my programmers. So I'm not a programmer. I assist program, but I do not program myself. Actually, let's move that back. So, by the way, if you make a mistake, you can just hit undo, and it's just going to reverse the last mistake. The more you hit undo, the more it reverts it. So, it just makes it really easy to go back. So, we're going to start off real easy. We'll start with one table leg. That's what it would be. And we're just going to try to make it a little better. So we're just going to try a few little experiments to see if we can find a way to make this better. So we're going to flip into edit mode by hitting tab. We're going to hit Control, what the heck is that now? Control R. It's been a while, sorry about that. We're just going to go down the slightest bit like this. And then we're going to hit S. Okay, you know what? Right click to cancel that. Let's take this one and we'll go to the arrows. And we're going to move it down. And what we're going to do is we're going to put one here. Right? And then we're going to Control R, and hopefully this works. I don't know. I haven't experimented a while. I just know I need to make some tables, so I'm going to try this as an experiment. I put that one up there, so I put a second control up one up there, right? So now we have a big gap in the middle. What's that's going to do basically? And now if I adjust, if I go to faces here, I'll just give you an example. If I adjust the face size here, it's not going to go past the middle now. It's not going to go past where I just put that. So it's just a guard to say, when I'm adjusting something past that, don't adjust the whole thing is the way I like to think of it. So we're going to do something like that. We're going to right click to let it auto center, and let's just try pulling it out a little bit. I was curious if just putting a little flare in here would give the table leg a better look overall. I think it does. You don't have to do it if you don't like it. That's always an option. There's always the option too, moving it maybe down a little bit like that, and then we can Control R, right? And we'll move it up like that, and then we'll just try to hit S and just try to match it so that it's a straight part there. That's just one example of something you can do just to give your design a little bit more flair, but it's not something you necessarily have to do. There's always other options too. Like let's push tab to get out of edit mode first, and then push Shift A. And we'll grab another cube. We'll bring it down to the bottom. Say you want to just make like a little tiny foot for this, right? So we're just going to make it a little bigger than the other one. I'm going to thin it out with a scaler. And if you get behind, just hit pause or go back a little bit. If I'm going too fast for you, which I probably not, because I'm not going that fast, but everybody works at a different work pace, and I don't want you guys to think if you're not keeping up that you're not doing well, because that's exactly it. Is everybody's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to do that. Okay. What have I done here? Let me see this. Let's just pull this out a little bit. I don't know if I was just seeing it on a weird angle. What just happened there? Okay. Yeah. So I made a mistake here. Let's undo that. Undo. And how should I do this? I know what to do here. We're going to grab edges by hitting Shift, then left clicking this, and then we're going to be able to click these now and add on to what we want to bevel. And then we're going to go ahead and hit Control B. And okay. And then we're going to go down to the bevel down here, and we're just going to change it a little bit. Go up to maybe 6. If you want to go more and make it more of an angle, you can. It's all up to you. That's going to get rid of our peak in the middle and make it a flat piece that it connects to. Now, say you're not happy with the size, you can always S it to make it a little bigger, make it a little smaller, whatever you want to do. I'm going to do about there. I think that looks pretty good. And I'm just going to move it down so it's not so much into the face, but I'm going to leave it inside of the face. And the reason is otherwise you're going to see a little tiny edge there or clipping in where you don't want it. So I've decided I like that leg. I'm going to keep that for now. We'll start off the first table like this one, and then we'll make some other legs in the second half. So I'm just going to move it a little bit over. I'm going to have a guess at how wide I want my table to be. And then I'm going to drag it this way, keeping in line this is your middle point, how wide the other way I want it to be. So I want it to be a rectangle, so I want it to be longer than wider. So now I'm going to hit Shift D, and since we went back to our number object properties, we should be able to, I'm just going to check the direction and then right click to cancel. And Shift D was to copy that if I didn't say it. And I'm just going to take the minus out of this and hit enter. Okay, now this is exactly symmetrical to that one. So then we're going to hit Shift D again. And we're just going to take the minus out of this one. All right, and then we're going to hit Shift D, and we're just going to do the same thing. And what we have now is 4 perfectly symmetrical legs that look exactly the same. And it's a good base for our table. And don't worry if you don't like the legs, we're going to do a couple other types. I'm just trying to give you a general understanding of some of the things you're able to do in Blender. If you want to use these things to make your own design, that's pretty much what my goal is to help you get to that point. I'm just going to thin this out, and we're just going to kind of naturally drag it till we're the right thick, like that. So we're past the legs on the one side. We'll make it much thinner, obviously. And we're going to move it, don't worry. Okay, something like that. So you got the basic size of the table that you want. All right. Now we're going to get into a couple different ways we can do the top real quick. Okay. So you have a square here. It's up to you what you want to do with your square, all right? What I would do, let's just Shift D this and move it up a little bit for we can make a couple different faces, and then we didn't trap ourselves, basically. Make sure you did it at edit mode too, otherwise they're going to be attached to each other. It's going to cause issues. And it's tab to go in and out of edit mode. So tab, make sure you're in edit mode. We're going to select just edges this time. And we're going to click that edge. Okay, let's click off all things by just clicking off of it. Then click this edge. Then click this edge. You'll see them highlight white when you got them. And this one. And then when we got them on, we're going to Control B. We're just going to put a little tiny taper around the corner. Now, if you like that and you think that's a good design, on the bottom of tables, often, we'll go to faces now, there's a little inset, which just kind of sinks in. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit I, and we're going to go in a little bit. And then when you're happy and you got a pretty even edge all the way around, we're going to hit E. And we're just going to go up a little bit, okay? And as you see, if you just happen to catch the table on the bottom side of the angle, it just gives it a little bit more style and grace on there. So there's a very, very basic table, basically, all right? So what we're going to do now, we'll grab this top, we'll grab this leg, we'll grab that leg, we'll grab all the legs, and we're going to hit Shift D, okay? Then we're going to hit Control J, and that has just made that all one item. But it's still separated from these items that are still separated, so we're still able to work with these. Okay? All right. So what we'll do one more top on this, and then I'll make some new legs, and then we'll make a new top for the new legs, okay? In case you didn't like the legs. So we already have this circular table. It's just like the other one, except the bottom's... Oh, it is inset. All right. Well, either way. What we could do now, we could do the same on the top. We can hit I. We can flare it down slightly. We can flare it up slightly. Or we can do just a little bit of an edge like that. I've flared it up slightly. I hit I again. And this is where you need to kind of start to be careful because your edges could start to break. But we'll do eye one more time and we'll keep a close eye on it. And you can see they're getting close to breaking now, so you don't want to go much farther. Probably about there, okay? And let's just take this one and move it up just a hair, for we are able to see that one a bit more. Okay, so we have our table. Okay, let's just attach the legs to this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, attach. Control J. So making sure you grab the tabletop last for it's the control point. We will now color it really quick, just to give you an idea how to do that. Okay, so the first color is going to be your base color for everything. So we're going to go like that, and then we're going to go back in there and just make it a little darker. Okay, obviously, you don't want your tabletop to be the same color as everything else, right? So maybe we'll change the top by hitting L over the whole top like that. It gives us the whole top at once, and we're just going to make a second color, and it doesn't really matter what your colors are because you're just assigning a slot for it here, and you're going to be able to change it once it's in your game as long as you've given it a slot. So I really like the way that looks. I'm going to take this middle one. I'm going to try something here and hit Control and left click, and then I'm going to hit Control and left click, and it's just going to keep me on that path. So the first time you do it, you're just going to hit left click, but after that, Control left click. You just can't go too far at a time. Anyways, once you have the whole thing, we could move it up, we could move it down. I really don't think we really need to. It does give it a bit more of a flare though, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is just give it a third color slot. So when we bring it into our game, we are able to really customize the colors on this a lot more. And as you can see, now we have 3 different color slots on that table, kind of making it just a lot more options. And it's not much different from the other table if you just want the pure table. So we'll just kick this off to the side real quick, and we'll get one more set of legs going, and we'll make a different type of top, and we'll call it a video for now. And I really hope this has helped you today. If it has, make sure you take the time to thumbs up because it really does help me. It helps other people find my videos. And that's the whole point of me making these. This is for people who can, find some starter help to get started on making things in Blender. All right. Now, a lot of these things you might want to auto smooth after. It kind of depends what your project is, how far in depth you are, how you want it to look in a final look, things like that. I'm going to shrink that down a little more. Okay, I'm going to get it around the same size as the other legs. It's really hard to tell because they're a little bit over there, but something like that, right? Okay, let's zoom into the leg and let's really work on this leg. Let's first start off by coloring it, actually. We'll give it its own color. And that way when we attach it to the other piece, it's just one less thing we got to do. All the legs will be their own color and all that stuff. I'm going to go into edit mode and just hit assign to make sure it's all assigned on that. So there's our piece. So clicking on it, let's go back in our edit mode. We'll hit Control R, drag this down a little bit and stop it about there. And then we're going to hit Control R and we're going to drag this one down and we're going to stop it about here. We're going to hit S. Oops, you know what? Let's undo that last one. Let's Control R, and we're going to put that stopper on the top just like we did on the bottom to make sure it doesn't mess with our other sizes, okay? Because otherwise we're going to have to bring them back, and it's going to be a little harder to do. I'm going to bring this up a little bit, down, it doesn't matter. We're just going to flare it out. If you want to slowly bring it up, you could take more time on it, or you can do something like this. I think that's the look I'm going to go for. As you see, when I get out of edit mode, it's really nice looking. It looks really cool. If you're not happy, you can always add a second one, and you can drag it up, drag it down. You can make it, go skinnier, fatter. You can go back down to the other size a little more like that, so it's more distinct. You can go even too much like that. Let's see how that looks. That looks really interesting, doesn't it? So it gives you an idea of how you can add some texture, or not texture, but design to your stuff without actually having a lot of impact on how much it's going to take to perform and stuff like that. Actually, let's see if we can do this like this. Let's Control R, and then let's go down to the bottom, and let's hit S. Okay, something like that. And what about that for a bottom? I really like that. Hopefully you guys do too. It might not be exactly what you were looking for, but hopefully it's something, and at least gives you an idea of what you want to do to get to where you want to be. There's a couple different ways we could have done that, but we're going to stop there for today. If you're just trying to make tables, I'm sure you don't want to get too much involved in this, and you probably already learned a lot today, so we'll leave it at that for today. But I'm going to say I'm going to be getting more back into making these videos and Blender videos and trying to do some more of that stuff. It's how I started off on YouTube and kind of what I need to get back to, I feel like. So I'm going to do some more of this. And if you're enjoying it, make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, and all that stuff. All right, so let's make sure we got them all symmetrical. So we're going to go into this top one that I'm already in, and I'm just going to erase the minus sign. All right, and I Shift D to copy it, of course, before I did that. And we're going to add a minus sign to this one. And this is just our axis. It's just saying where we are positionally wise, basically. And the Z would be up and down. That's back and forth, and that's the other way. Just for you know. You can also use this as a reference up here, if it helps you. It doesn't help me because I'm terribly dyslexic, but it seems to help other people. Now, which one were you? Okay, so it's the second one. We're going to add a minus. There we go. So we have all four legs exactly symmetrical to each other. That's very important because if things aren't symmetrical, they're going to look odd in your game, and you're just not going to want that, right? All right, we made it symmetrical. So what can we do to make this square table different than other tables that we already have, okay? Maybe we'll try some insets. Now, there's many ways you could do this. You could use other pieces to punch out the shapes that you want out of the table, but it's probably going to be a very difficult process to do to a table, and it's probably going to be a little easier to do this way. So I'll show you this method. So we'll go to faces, grab the whole face, hit I again. I'm going to go in just a little bit. Now, as you can see, this edge here is bigger than this edge here. So what we're going to do is just kind of fix that for it doesn't look funny on our table. It's dragging it evenly, but since one side's longer than the other, that's how it ends up looking. So just be careful with that. Now that it's pretty even, we should be safe to go I again. All right. Now let's try moving this one a little bit. We're going to go down like this. So now, if you look, there's a little edge on our table that just kind of leans down, okay? And I have seen this on quite a few tables, probably older style, more classical, but you don't see it as much nowadays. But it gives it a really cool look, I always thought. And there we have it. We've got that look we want, but we're going to use color schemes to make it look even better. So let's, why am I having troubles here? Go into edit mode, and we will first give it a color. We'll go down here. We'll hit new. And I'm just going to make it any color because we just need the slot, as you know. It doesn't really matter what the color is. Okay. We can actually attach those now too if we want. Let's grab those four legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just left click, shift left click, shift left click, shift left click, shift left click. Grabbing the table last and then Control J. Did I do that right? I don't think I did. Control J. There we go. And it just makes the whole item one. That way if you're moving it around or anything. Oh, we had an extra lag in there. And if you move something out of place, I'll show you this one last tip. Like I have, right? You can see it's clearly out of place. And you want to get it back to 0, just go to here and click 0. Okay? It's going to put you exactly into place of where you want to be. Just make sure you're on the right axis, and you can just test that by moving this and right-clicking it to cancel. Okay? So let's just add one more color to this, and we'll be done with this, and we'll be done with the video. And if you guys enjoyed it today, make sure you thumbs up. Make sure you leave a comment. Tell me if you'd like to see other things, if you're having troubles designing other things, and maybe I'll help you out. So here's another face. Here's another face. Let's grab these two. Oops. These two. And I'm just shift left clicking to grab each one. The first one you don't have to shift left click, but after that you're going to have to. It's just going to stop you from letting go of what you had before when you click something new. Alright, so we got those. Let's do it a different color just to give it a bit more flair. As you can see, we already have 2 tones, so let's add a third one, plus new. And we will make it just something different. Doesn't matter. We'll change it once it's in game. just giving it a new color. Okay. Now, as you can see, when we get it out of edit mode, it just gives it a lot of flair. It makes it look really interesting, like a really interesting, nice table. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today. Hopefully you understand the designs, how simple they are, and how easy they are to make your own. And I've at least given you an idea of how to make a really handsome table. I'll be back again soon with some more Blender stuff. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to come up with next or what I'm going to need to make next, but I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch me today, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.